In this session, we'll discuss about RPC semantics in the presence of failures. So the goal of RPC is to hide communication by making remote procedure call just look like a local one. The actual problem we encounter is when errors occur. So in this session, we will examine some of the possible errors and what can be done about those errors. Now to structure our discussion, we will distinguish between 5 different types of classes of failures that can occur in an RPC system. The errors are as follows. The first error can be when the client is unable to locate the server, or the request message from the client to the server is lost, or the reply message from the server to the client is lost, or the server crashes after receiving a request, or the client can crash after sending a request. So we will be discussing about this 5 types of errors. So the first error is the client is unable to locate the server. To start with this, it can so happen that the client cannot locate a suitable server. Maybe the server is down. Or alternatively, it can so happen that the client is compiled using a particular version of the client stuff and the binary is not used for a considerable amount of time. Meanwhile, the server evolves and a new version of the interface is installed and new stubs are generated which are put to use. Now when this client is run, the binder will not be able to match it up with the server, and in such case it will report a failure. Next, each of the procedure on a server returns a value. That means when a computation is done, the reply will be sent back to the client. So usually the code that is -1 is used to indicate a failure. Now if we have a procedure which adds up to numbers like 7 and -8, so in this case the answer that is to be written would be -1. So for such cases, a reporting mechanism is needed. So one possible solution is to have the error raise an exception. Now we will move towards the next error. That is, a request can be lost that is sent by the client. Now whenever a request is sent by a client, it starts with a timer. So the moment the timer expires, okay, within a reasonable amount of time, let's say the server is not sending back a reply to the client. So in this case, what the client can do is send another request. That is request number 2. So within this timer, even if this timer expires, then again send a request to the server. So even after sending n number of requests to the server and the server is not able or does not send a reply back to the client, then we can conclude that the server is down or the client is not able to locate the server. Moving to the next type of errors, that is lost reply messages. Now lost replies are considerably more difficult to deal with. So a solution is to just rely on the timer again, as we have seen in the previous slide. If no reply is coming within a reasonable period, then just send the request once more. Now the trouble with this solution is that the client kernel is not really sure why there was no answer. Did the request or the reply got lost, or is the server really slow? In particular, some operations can be safely repeated as often as necessary with no damage being done. A request such as asking for the first 1000 bytes of a file has no side effects and can be executed as often as necessary without any harm being done to the operation. A request that has this type of property is said to be idempotent. Let's take an example of idempotent. Now consider a request to a banking server asking to transfer 10 lakhs from one account to another. If the request arrives and is carried out, but the reply is lost. So now in this case, the client may be thinking to send another request and will retransmit the message. The bank server will interpret this request as a new one and will carry out 2. So in total, 20 lakhs have been transferred. So basically, a banking transaction is not idempotent. So what is the solution? How do we overcome the idempotent property? So what we can do is have the client kernel assign each request a sequence number. By having each server kernels keep track of the most recently received sequence number from each client kernel that is using it, the server kernel in this case can tell the difference between an original request and a retransmission and can refuse to carry out any request for the second time. The next type of error is server crash. Okay. Now in this case we have 3 cases, case A, case B and case C. Case A is the normal case wherein a request is received by the server, executed and the reply sent back to the client. In case B, a request is received by the server, executed, and after execution of the request, the server crashes. In this case, no reply. In case C, a request is received by the server, and after receiving the request, the server has crashed. So in this case, no reply is sent to the client. So now what is the difference between case B and case C? In B, the system has to report failure back to the client. For example, it can be raising of an exception, whereas in C, it can just retransmit the request. So now the problem here is that the client kernel is not in a position to tell what is the exact problem. All it knows is that its timer has expired. So what is the solution? The first solution to this problem is at least one semantics. So it will wait until the server reboots and try the operation again. Now the idea is to keep trying until a reply has been received, then give it to the client. And this technique is called as at least one semantics. This method guarantees that the RPC has been carried at least one time, but possibly more. The second solution is at most one semantics. So this method gives up immediately and reports back a failure. So basically this method executes 0 time or at the most 1. Third solution is guarantee nothing. So now in this case, when the server crashes, the client gets no help and no promises. The RPC in this case may be carried out from 0 to a large number of times. And finally, moving towards the last type of error, wherein the client crashes. Now what happens if the client sends a request to a server to do some work and crashes before the server replies? So at this point a computation is active and no parent is waiting for the result. So such unwanted type of operations or computations are called as offense. So how do we handle this offense? So the first solution is extermination. A client stub sends an RPC message. It makes a log entry telling what it is about to do. Now this log entry is kept on a disk or some other medium that can survive a crash. And after a reboot, the log is checked and the orphan is explicitly killed. So this is called as extermination. Now the disadvantage of this method or the solution is it is very expensive to write a disk record for every RPC that it is performing. Second solution is reincarnation. Now when a client reboots, it will broadcast a message to all the machines declaring that it is starting a new epoch. So basically an epoch is the beginning of a new period. So when such broadcast message come in contact with all the remote with respect to all the servers, in such case all the remote computations are killed. The next solution is gentle incarnation. Now when an epoch broadcast comes in each machine, it checks to see if it has any remote computation. And if it has any remote computation, then it tries to locate their owner. Only if the owner cannot be found, then the computation is killed. And finally, we have expiration. Now over here, each RPC is given a standard amount of time. Let's assume the time to be T to perform a job. If it cannot finish, it must explicitly ask for another quantum, which is obviously a nuisance. On the other hand, if a crash occurs, the server waits a time T before rebooting. So in this case, all the orphans are sure to be gone. The problem to be solved here is choosing a reasonable value of T in the face of RPC with widely differing requirements.